and Christi Tasker for Miami.com. And we're glad to have you with us, Christi, as always.
That's right, David. Man, we got a lot going on here in Miami, David and Penny. You guys want to, like, Penny, I know you'll believe it because you're very familiar with South Florida and you've done so much research here.
Born and raised.
And I've just got to tell you, I've met someone who's going to be probably one of your favorite people to follow. His name is Billy Corben, and he's the one who did the documentary called Cocaine Cowboys. So I'm going to. Oh, yeah. Everybody kept saying him. Okay, so I just have to preface what happened last night. So last night was the first night the Coconut Grove Women's Club held a candidates forum, and all 15 candidates, by the way, there are 15 candidates for this seat, okay? And there's a lot of candidates that are, of course, attorneys, judges, corrupt judges that have like been debenched. I mean, like, you can't even make this stuff up, okay? Like, it's almost like a joke. So I call them government gangsters, okay? They're all connected in some way, shape, or form. And we have to realize it. If we keep voting in the same people that are connected to the Suarezes, and they're telling you that they're connected to the Suarezes, who goes and gets his eyebrows done probably 12 times a week, and by the way, takes all the police with him, because, like, why do you need to take the police with you everywhere you go? I mean, he absolutely abuses authority. So someone said, but aren't you conservative? You're supposed to be like for this guy. And I'm like, this guy is a fraud, number one. He even says that he doesn't vote for, he doesn't even vote for Republicans. I mean, so it really doesn't matter at this point what anybody is. It's what they're going to do and who they're connected with. So, David, if you'll bring in my computer, I want to play the video.
Absolutely.
Of this person telling exactly what they were trying to do. So the seat that I'm running for was vacated by Ken Russell, Quitter Ken. I had once had a disabled client tell me quitters never win and winners never quit.
That's right.
And guess what? He quit 1 month before he really had to, because they wouldn't hold an election. And then they were going to just seat in this Zilber, former Judge Zilber. Martin Zilber is his name. He was dethroned from being a judge. And so I'm just going to let this young lady tell you why.
All right.
To cancel special set hearings. And, you know, the excuse was, I'm taking a 4-day weekend, you know, just because I can. We're talking about a judge that really was doing the minimum to keep up the perception that he was doing a lot.
What was the judge asking you and his bailiff to be doing during office hours?
Things that you can't make up. Like, go get my Art Basel tickets. You know, during a jury trial, you know, you're talking about, you're going to have your bailiff go to Miami Beach in maddening traffic that is Miami during rush hour to get your Art Basel tickets. And
he wound up being late, right? I read your complaint. He wound up being late.
Yeah, he wound up being late, and then, you know, he got chastised. We were asked to go renew his tags. He's got me contacting the Bar Association, getting attorneys' email list to send out email campaigns for his reelection campaign.
Which is in fact illegal, isn't it?
Yeah, he even had me opening a bank accounts.
For his campaign, you mean?
Yeah, for his campaign.
You were asked to falsify information about how much he was working as well, correct?
Correct. During the pandemic, he was forging his timesheet, basically. He was saying that he was at work, he didn't put in any leave request, and he was out on vacation in Malibu. I started witnessing just like childlike tantrums in chambers. I privately asked him to meet with me in his chambers. And I said to him, you know, Judge, look, I just found out that I may be pregnant. I would need some time off. His reaction was just, this is the worst possible time for you to be pregnant. Like, I cannot believe that you're pregnant. It's going to ruin all of my plans.
You claim that you witnessed him deliberately entering unconstitutional decisions.
In foreclosure cases and other cases where he allowed his personal bias to interfere with his judgment. He was not.
He was not.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
A specific case, against an association, a condominium association. Judge Zilber told me, I know that this is unconstitutional, but by the time they appeal me, the 30 days have gone by and they can't have their board of directors meeting.
And they had to go through the trouble, of course, probably of filing the appeal and paying the attorney's fees.
And the expenditure, of course. Sure.
So, Dixie, how do you feel when I tell you that there is a distinct possibility that this weekend, the City of Miami Commission will appoint disgraced ex-Miami-Dade Judge Martin Zilber to the City of Miami Commission to fill the seat vacated by recently resigned Commissioner Ken Russell?
Sounds like a hashtag because Miami headline to me.
Look at that. She's got the close for the segment
with the mic
right
drop.
there. Yes.
Holy.
But I started.
So there you go. There you have it about one of the judges and one of the candidates. And, come to find out, as we all know from even on a federal and national level, there's such a small group of these players trying to run everything. So every time somebody tells me like a problem, I am also tracking it back to a guy named Joe Carollo. Okay. So I want to thank, literally Billy Corben. I didn't even know who Billy Corben was until somebody started saying, oh, you kind of like, are you part of Billy Corben? And I'm like, who's Billy Corben? So I look him up and I see he's like the producer of Cocaine Cowboys, God Forbid, which I haven't even gotten to watch yet. My mom says it's great, that everybody should watch it. But he really breaks down and does a lot of documentaries and a lot of research. So one of the funny things that he did is I like his style in terms that he has a little fun when he is going to break something down. For instance, when he wants the public to know about something. David, if you'll bring back in my screen, I'll show you.
I will be happy to.
So he does this song, and for the listening viewers, it's basically one of the billboard trucks that go around Miami. Okay, so these are like very well lit. And you basically take them into neighborhoods, when people are like standing in line for something or something like that. So this Joe Carollo, he basically abused his power, and he would, take payoffs, get people to keep their clubs open late. He wanted his cliquey crew like in the clubs. I've had police officers telling me when they've arrested people that Joe Carollo knows, they then get demoted or they get replaced in their areas. And these are our police officers, and they're good police officers. Mm-hmm. They have many of them are military. These politicians continue to abuse their power. So Billy did this amazing song and then he also had it playing as it's rolling around the billboard so that people are aware, because we do have to make people aware here. There's very few like ways to do that because, either people don't read the Miami Herald or they don't believe a certain, website, or they don't believe their friends on social media so Billy took it to a song and this billboard.
Miami, being treated just like any other accused domestic offender.
I can hardly stand the sound of that stodgy old crowd. They're a scourge upon this town, but we can't shake. All throughout District 3, in the city of Miami, several decades long, and confidence free.
Oh, God.
He's a racist white beater and an anti-Semite. He's a white beater. Yeah, that's Joe Carollo. He's a white beater. Joe Carollo.
Oh, I love this.
That night, his daughter called the cops to their home. Don't be daddy's hurting my mom. He threw a teapot right at her time.
My dad's hurting my mom. What happened? My dad's hurting my mom. What's your address? Please come now, please. Your home and you got the on 9
He's a white beater.
Please come now, please. I don't know. No, he doesn't know it. Please come.
Tonight, the mayor of Miami being treated just like any other accused domestic offender.
So Joe has been protested against multiple times in terms of he tried to, tear down this theater where protesters gathered outside Tower Theater to condemn Miami's plan to convert the Art House movie theater in Little Havana to a tourist welcome center and performance space. He basically wanted to tear some of these things down. I mean, he's just a complete train wreck. Wow. Businesses have reported. And by the way, I should probably tell everybody, this is the former mayor. Okay. This is the former mayor.
Yeah.
Okay. Another business owner accuses Miami Commissioner Joe Carollo of misusing power. So, I mean, this is like a never ending thing with these politicians, right? And during this time, they also have an issue with the homeless, in which the city closes Virginia Key Outdoor Center amid opposition of Carollo's tiny home village for the homeless. So let's watch and see what he does. Memento scum bottle is recyclable, just okay, we'll pause that for a second. I won't play that. But yeah, I mean, he's tried to take an entire island and make it so that and put these little tiny homes on it, and it's directly across the bay from Fisher Island, from the major part of the bay here in Miami. So we'd all have to be looking at his little tiny house encampment.
Oh, wonderful.
And not only that, but the homeless people who are supposed to be out trying to get a job or, trying to get off of the community services, they would then have to actually cross the Rickenbacker Causeway to go to and from home, which is very expensive, by the way. And it's not like there are a ton of buses and, it's not like on a major bus route or anything. There's no trains going there.
Right.
So public transportation is not that easy. Bikers actually get hit. So, some of the people that I'm running against, they want to talk about, how they've helped with bike lanes for years. Well, guess what? There are people that get hit on bike lanes all the time. So evidently the information that they're bringing forth is actually falling on deaf ears. And it's just all very interesting how it's all interconnected. So I want to make David, I have a guest that I want to bring in. His name is Todd Wood. And
I know who this guy is.
Okay, you do.
I actually, you're CD Media, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
CDM.press.
Right.
Fantastic news organization. All kudos.
Thank you very much.
Outstanding stuff. Love it.
So Todd, tell us about the event that you're hosting and what it's going to accomplish for Miami, and we can have people in. We would love to have anybody that's out there in the nation or even internationally come in and hang out with us and help us call out the government gangsters. So Todd, I mean, that's not saying that Todd thinks that they're government gangsters. I'm saying they're government gangsters because they are.
Well, yeah, we'll forward some of the panelists to you. That'd be great. So we have been doing these events around the country called American Conversations. We hired Christine Dolan a couple of years ago, who worked for 4 different networks. She's very red-pilled now and really focused. She was big into one of the world's experts on human trafficking. And so we've been doing these events called American Conversations. And recently we've been doing them on the protection of children. So on February 16th at the Renaissance Ballroom in Miami, we're going to have an evening, a very powerful evening with guests which are completely focused on how we protect our kids going forward. So we're going to have Brooke Jackson, the Pfizer whistleblower. We're going to have Kevin Jenkins, who is the head of Children's Health Defense in Florida. We have Ilana Fishbane, who's head of No Left Turn in Education. We're going to have, what's her name? Angelia DeSalle from Louisiana, who's a vaccine-injured woman who's gone viral all over the world in communications with Elon Musk on Twitter and got about 54 million views. But her story is just horrendous, and people need to be aware of this. And we also have Dr. Paul Merrick, who's one of the frontline COVID doctors who lost his license for treating COVID the correct way. So this is going to be a powerful panel. It's going to be several hours long. You can go to miamiindependent.com and look at the events tab and get your tickets there. We have to charge a few bucks because we have, some serious expenses flying all these people in, hotels, event venue, insurance, security, all that stuff. So we'd like to get as many people as possible. I think it's going to be very powerful and really wake up Miami on how our children are being harmed.
Yeah, and that sounds awesome, Todd. One other person that I'm going to say that you should add to your roster. I mean, by the way, I have not spoken to Todd about this prior, so this is kind of an on-air conversation, which I love anyway, out of transparency for the public. Todd, have you thought about getting Megan Walsh on your panel, because she is a huge advocate for child protective services and has personally had her children removed from her care thanks to her fear-mongering father, John Walsh, in utilizing the sheriff's deputies and the sheriff himself as a weapon against parents, because they are definitely planning that with Agenda 2030. And parents need to be aware of what can happen. And even the public needs to be aware that when they make a call into Child Protective Services, what that can result in for a parent, that sometimes as a community, we may just be better off going next door and saying, hey, is there any way I can help you out?
I will, what I'll do is I'll put Christine Dolan in touch with you, who's running the event, and you can, she's managing the panel. But for us, and she's fantastic. I think she's a great interview. So I'll hook you guys up. We are also probably going to have a Catholic priest who's, to talk about abortion, child mutilation, gender, all that crap. So I think it'll be a very powerful night, and would, love to spread the word let's wake up Miami as to what's happening to our kids.
Yep. I agree. Thank you, Todd. Thank you so much for hosting the event. So everybody needs to go to miamiindependent.com and then click events. Yes. Right. Okay.
That's where it is. And you can get your tickets there. We also, we have general admission, but we also are going to sell a few, call them meet and greet tickets, where people can stay for an hour and mingle with the panel. Those are a little more expensive.
Are there going to be Zoom, Todd? Is there going to be like a Zoom for people on the outside to be able to maybe pay $20-25 to watch it on Zoom?
I haven't thought of that. We'll look into that.
Yeah, I think you should, because this audience itself is an international audience, and I know people all over the world that may want to listen in. So, I'm not trying to put you or David on the spot, but I would say that you guys should get together, and I can connect you with some other people, because we just need to educate people in general that, the power that they have with the Constitution, their Bill of Rights, and knowing that things are just and unjust. I actually learned that myself from Chris Ann Hall at the Citizens Defending Freedom seminar, where she actually goes in and actually teaches sheriffs this weekend that things are either just or unjust. They're not constitutional or unconstitutional. They're either just or unjust. There's no two ways to look about it. And we just heard a video from one of our former judges that actually had to resign from his very poor behavior that our commission was going to put in as a commissioner, because they did not want to pay $300,000 to host an election. Okay. Because that $300,000 could get them somebody like me. And you know what? I'm not part of the government gangsters. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
And so we need to, as citizens, no matter who you decide that you're going to vote for, you need to make sure that you hold those people accountable, attend meetings, and, ask them to be transparent on social media, so that, if you don't have time to attend meetings, because listen, these meetings are 3 hours long, and they're spending a lot of time shuffling around paper, talking to each other, not even getting anything done. And then citizens are so annoyed with them that when they do get, their 3 minutes to speak, that it usually runs into a yelling battle, because they're so frustrated that their commission or their commissioner has not responded back to them prior to even coming to the meeting, because they're not addressing the real issues and the real results. I mean, in the city of Miami, we have a plan with no master plan, no budget, forensic budget analysis. We have no traffic engineers that I can find. I mean, if you guys can find a traffic engineer, please let me know. I actually have called and interviewed traffic engineers. I mean, it's ridiculous. A city with this much traffic, we have no traffic engineers, and I can't even find a budget for them. So if anybody out there can find it, please let me know. I mean, I'll definitely would love to post it and give them a call and find out what we can do to fix it. Todd, is there anything else you want anybody to know?
No, just we'd like to fill the room for the event, but also if you want to find news that's not tainted by the progressive spin, go to cdm.press, and we're now a global media company growing rapidly. So please check us out.
Tremendous organization. Todd, I this is an honor to have you on the show because I use your website for a lot of resources, and we really appreciate you come. I hope you'll come back on your own sometime. I'd love to have you on for an hour and interview you about your news organization.
Great. Love to. Anytime, guys.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for being on, Todd.
Take care. Bye.
L. Todd Wood, CD Media, CDM.press, and fantastic.
Yeah. I didn't want the public to be intermingled thinking that I know Todd and then I'm trying to put words in his mouth because I'm not.
Right.
No.
there may be other things that, that he may disagree with me on. But, I want to make sure that, the public really knows about a lot of what is going on. And we have not even had a chance to catch up. Penny, I miss, my text and everything with you, but I have been so busy
too.
going to all these events and everything, like listening to what people have to say. And the more I listen, the more shocked I am because, I've learned that we have a massive sewage issue. We have sewage actually going out into our bay. Yeah. And there's no infrastructure being planned.
Did I hear you correctly? No traffic engineers. So you
not that I could find, David. I mean, not that I could find. Okay, listen. I mean, they may be there, but I've actually called asking for the traffic engineers. The other thing I've learned in this process, I even called to find out, hey, when there's mail-in ballots, when you guys are mailing out the ballots, because I wanted to know for timing purposes for my campaign, when do the ballots actually go out? I really had a hard time getting an answer, for, when do the ballots, what is the date these ballots are going to go out? And I heard, well, they have to go out like 21 days before the election. Finally, after like numerous calls, and it's not that our staffs don't know. I think they're afraid to say, because I've had many city employees. I mean, it's kind of interesting because I had no idea that the city employees would open up to me, because technically, especially if they're working in District 2, I hate to say, I don't want to say I'm going to be in charge of them, but I'll, have some amount of say, like as to what they do. And they're all very, very frustrated that they are literally having to, instead of working for the citizens that they signed up to work for, they are many times defending these politicians. And so what do I mean by that? So they have, there's actually no limitations on the amount of security that these politicians can actually ask for. Okay. So I would thought.
You mean like Secret Service protection type thing?
Yes. And do you know that they actually have to pull people and pull officers off of the street? Yes. So that is the reason sometimes we don't have enough officers, because they're being pulled. Okay, so the other thing is, I hate to keep going back to our mayor, but, I always say, David, people, as much as people might not realize, everything starts at the top. Okay, so we know even, Skull and Bones, these secret societies, they use the pyramid, and there's a point to the pyramid. Okay, well, in the city government, the top of that pyramid is the mayor. And everything trickles down from there. Okay. You got the mayor, then you got the commission, then you've got, actually the mayor, the city manager, the commission, you've got like all these people. And the reality is, the majority of the budget goes to fire and police. And what are they, I've got firemen that are saying, we don't have enough equipment. Like if something really happens here, we don't even have the equipment. Our equipment is so aging and so dilapidated that if we had a mass fire or a casualty, we do not have the equipment to support that. So after I actually get off of this interview, I actually have to go to the fire union where I will actually talk with them and find out what is really taking place in the fire safety realm.
And you're probably the only candidate that's going to be addressing these issues too.
Probably that actually understands it, because we've even had issues with our building, the building and the fire pump, and I have to be honest, I was wondering why the fire marshal actually came so irregularly and not as often, for any type of building. I mean, even though we're only 15 stories, you would think that they would come more often. So just to check things out, because, boards, I'm sorry, but boards can't be trusted. Okay. No. Boards, the board of directors, it's made up of, not really citizens, but owners of the particular condo complex. And what I'm also learning about some of these boards, as we know from the Surfside collapse, in the grand jury report, that many of the board members were to actually blame for not maintaining the building. Okay, because they do have a choice and they have a vote. Well, Florida legislature is about to step in on that. And as much as I don't like big government, I do think, as an owner of 2 units in an association, I want to make sure that my association, the people in it are taken care of. Well, the only way sometimes you can do that is to make sure that your board members are actually educated and they're listening and they're acting on what needs to be done. And many times they don't. They'll decide they don't like you. They decide that, they don't like the color of your dog, or, they don't like what you have on that day, or that you're too bossy with them, or they don't like the color of furniture on your balcony. There's like a multitude of things, and they really try to abuse their own power because they're like little wannabe cops themselves, instead of actually listening to the law and taking care of what's important, which is the people and the safety in the building. They're focused on, what new sofa they're going to put in the lobby, or what paint color is going to go on the wall. And even then they're required to do a materials alteration and put the vote out to the community, and they do not. So, if you're in an HOA out there, I just want to say, especially if you're in the state of Florida, it does require a vote to do any kind of materials alteration, such as even paint color or any major cosmetic changes inside your building, because you bought the furnishings in that building. You bought the wall color. You bought everything that the developer put in. Because imagine, I mean, there are cases where some of these buildings look horrendous because, Susie Joe decided that she wanted to, add a red sofa, or, add a green sofa, or hold on, the maintenance guy decides he wants to like put his version of Mona Lisa that he found at thrift, or he found in the garbage that morning on the wall. No, literally we had this problem, David, and the people in power, they don't realize I thought that they didn't realize that they were breaking the law. Let's put it that way in many cases, but they do. They realize they're breaking the law. These are people, they have to actually take an oath, and they have to take a class in order to be board members, and they don't listen. So, all of those people to me should be absolutely held accountable. And I believe that the new Florida statutes holds them independently, privately accountable whenever they vote. So I highly encourage you to make sure that you do attend your board meetings, and also make sure the meeting minutes are correct with who voted for what, because that's super critical. And it's something we don't realize as, being part of HOAs in any form. So that's another little important tidbit. And then also traffic patterns, David, like infrastructure. So one of the things that's also happening here is the infrastructure. It'll be included on building permits, that developers actually have to do X, Y, and Z. So let's just say they had to put in a new red light. They have to change the medians. They have to change out all the trees. They have to, it'll say all these things, right? But a lot of times the developer tries to put in a budget, and the budget's like way low for what they're actually going to do. Or maybe there's not a budget at all. And then the city actually gives them a certificate of occupancy that the city controls. And once that certificate of occupancy is released, you're pretty much, relying on the developer just to do those infrastructure deals all on their own, because otherwise you're looking at mass lawsuits. And a lot of times it's on purpose.
And of course, cutting corners, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the real key takeaway for the audience is, look at the building permits, look and see what's attached to those building permits in terms of infrastructure. Consult with an outside consultant. Like when I say consult, just call, okay? Call some outside consultants. That's what I do. And say, is this really enough to replace, 500 trees going down a median? That this truck's going to knock off, they're going to knock off all the branches of your tree canopy. So can these actually be replaced for this? Okay, no, then you can't vote for it. Okay. Yeah. So they have to bring in smaller trucks. They have to assemble their equipment on site. There are other ways to get things done. But many times the people in charge, they have no idea what to ask for. And then the public doesn't know until it's too late. So that's pretty much where we're at here. Do you have any questions for me, David?
How can people contribute to your campaign?
Well, that's a good question. So I've actually asked for people to go to Christi Tasker for Miami.com.
If you want to put the website up, I'll be happy to put it on the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and actually we can go over that a little bit, and I'll tell people, how it does work. Thank you for the opportunity to do that, David.
Sure, absolutely.
So when it comes to the website, let me get on here really quick. Yeah, because I'll explain to people what we're doing and how it all is working.
And I'm sure that all of the issues and the talking points are there so people will understand too what you stand for. And I want people to know where they can get more information.
Yeah, hold on just a second. I think I opened the wrong tab. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Sorry, David, I'm having a little internet connectivity.
It's all right. Take your time. We got minutes left. It's important we get this information out. So
yeah, well, here's the thing. This is what I want people to know. You're very likely to get a lot of information off of this to be able to help your own neighborhood. Okay, what do I mean by that? So you can probably go and see what's actually happening here in Miami. And eventually these will actually play a video. Okay, so the videos are uploading right now. They're processing. A lot of people don't realize how much time it takes to process a video. But here's basically what I'm doing on a daily basis is we're releasing some of the information that's actually happening here that people may have missed. And then here are the things that need to actually happen, okay, here in Miami. And so they're being listed here on the website. And when it comes to, what we're actually dealing with, these are some of the major issues that either I have learned about or people have told me about, and what needs to happen, in order for there to be some sort of change. Because we have a lot budgeted, as you guys well know, we have a lot budgeted, like almost $15 million for technology and infrastructure, technology infrastructure. So I've asked, what is technology infrastructure? Because people need to know about that. So eventually I want everybody to actually sign up here so that you learn what it's about. Put in your zip code for me, just so I know if you are a voter here in Miami. Either way, you can go on and you're going to be able to find a lot of information here. But whenever people contribute, this is not live at the very moment, David. But this will be live later today.
Okay.
And they'll be able to donate there. And it will basically say, how much has actually been donated once donations start coming in. And then my endorsements will go here. The endorsements are just starting to roll in because, like I said, last night was one of the first events. I will also be listing all events on the site here. It looks like it's a little jumbled up right now. But all of this will be actually listed for any public events that people can actually come to meet me. And then I'll also be hosting Zoom events live online so that I can answer any questions from the public. So I'll be hosting my own town hall forums, just like I will when I'm elected. So that way people have an idea of what they're going to get, the transparency, and there may be some, a lot that I'm probably not going to know, but we will figure it out together. And I say, please feel free to hold me accountable. And then the other thing, when people want to know about me as a whole, go up here to this about me, and you'll be able to see, kind of a time.
I love that. I love that.
I do too.
Thank you.
Fabulous, Christi. That's a lot of work.
Thank you. Yes, Penny, So this is what I've been buried in doing for the past past week, actually. Ever since I decided to run at the very last minute. I believe I was the last candidate to actually list, as I said last week. But this kind of gives people an idea of what could happen. Like, for instance, some of these news outlets that are for other people are trying to paint me just as a product designer, right? They don't paint me as a CEO and a manufacturer of products.
Right.
And a technologist.
And a technologist, right? They kind of forget that part. And what they're also forgetting is that the majority of things that the city buys are products that I can look at the plans and look at and go, okay, this isn't made of the right materials, so this is going to rust when it gets to your park. Or, hey, those trains aren't going to fit underneath our passageways. Like $15 million savings right off the bat. Actually, I think it might have been closer to like 21 by the time you did Miami-Dade and City of Miami. And by the way, where are the trains that we paid for that didn't fit underneath our passageway?
We were going to go. The last time you were here, you were headed out to go see them, right?
Yeah, no, I wanted to go see them. I asked to go see them, and they can't provide me the address of where the train, even the train was. They said it. Oh, they weren't sure. So my FOIA has been unanswered. So. Until then, I'm going to believe it's money laundering. You guys can prove me different. Like a city, if you want to go ahead and respond to my FOIA request and give me the address of where the trains are, I'll get on a plane and go see where the trains are. Even if they're in China, I have a 20-year Chinese visa. Be glad to go check them out.
There you go.
Okay. And these are my other websites. So people can actually look up and see, the other work that I've done. So I'm not just looking to, make bank off of the whole, I think it's $53,000 salary that the commissioners get paid. So I will just say this: if your commissioner does not have another job, they will be taking money from somewhere else. You definitely want to look in to see where your commissioner gets their money.
Well, it's just like on a national level with Congress. These people don't get into office to get rich with the congressional salaries or their Senate salaries. They get access to power and stock tips and insider trading and all that other crap, which nets them millions.
Yes, it does, David. Absolutely does. Absolutely does. And by nature, you're going to know more. Obviously, I already know more than I did before I started running. That's one reason I was like, you know what? Hey, you know what? The people have a choice. I'll put my name out there, especially when I saw who was running and I saw them, being totally connected to the government gangsters. I'm like, there's absolutely no way we can, like, when they take down tree canopies, you don't get them back. I mean, this is like years, decades. Coconut Grove is 150 years old, and they're most known for their tree canopies. If we allow developers in to tear down the tree canopies, we don't get those back, okay? We don't get our bay back. We have to hold these people accountable. We have to make sure that their job sites are shut down until things are completely resolved, until they are abiding by the city, their city building permits. I mean, it's not that hard. When you are part of the city, you can actually let your people, such as the police, you can let your building inspectors do their jobs. Right now, they're reporting they're not able to. That politicians are in control, and they have to call a politician to ask if they can shut down a site. No way. They should have the authority to shut down a site if that company is violating their building permit, period, without one single call and without knowing they're going to lose their jobs. Because right now, they're all afraid. When you have people that are afraid, they cannot work for the people. And the bottom line is they need to be able to work for the people for public safety and even for the safety of the politicians. If you really want safety, you think they're actually going to protect you whenever you are demeaning them and not allowing them to do their jobs and trying to demote them because they've turned one of your friends in or they've arrested one of your friends? Heck no. Listen, don't mention my name if you're going to get arrested, because guess what? I'm going to let them do their jobs.
Absolutely.
I'm not stopping them. So,
Christi Tasker from Miami.com. Thank you. Go to that website. Please contribute. The information, a lot of the information will be up later today. Christi, always a pleasure to have you on the program, and we look forward to talking to you again next week. And we're rooting for you. You know that.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, David. And listen, David, I may end up. I've kind of weeded down. I may actually ask you to host that debate that we talked about.
I'd be happy to do it.
If somebody else doesn't do it, they keep doing, if we keep doing these town hall forums where we're all asked different questions, we really need to be asked the same questions to address it. That really needs to happen. So
you got it. You just ask. You got it.
Okay. Thanks so much, David. Thank you,
Thank you, Christi.
Bye-bye.
Christi Tasker on the Dark Outpost, Christi Tasker for Miami.com. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Gary Wayne will be with us. We're going to be talking about a number of different fascinating things. So stick around as Dark Outpost continues.